Hello, and welcome to the second installment of the Parablecast. It's a weekly series where we talk about the latest gaming news and any random topics that have really influenced us and interested us in the scene. Last week, it was myself, and I'm Dan, if you somehow managed to forget, and we had Matt, who is also with us this week.
Hey there, how's it going?
Hey Matt, how are you?
I'm alright, thanks, how are you?
I'm great, I'm absolutely great, and I'm even more great because we've changed a member. Last week we had Greg, enigmatic Scotsman.
Which really put me on a downer all week.
But yeah, this week we decided to change it up a bit, and Greg was here last week, and he was kind of marketing manager, and he talked a lot of shit. But yeah. No offense to Greg, I'm sure he's listening to us and thinking that we're absolute dicks, but yeah, we've got Michael here today. He's another member of Parable, so we're going to let him do the kind of introduction that we did last week. So, hi Mike, introduce yourself.
Hello Dan. Well, as he said, my name is Michael. You could call me Nofi if you want, everyone else calls me that. And I'm 18, I like video games, if you didn't realise already. My favourite genre is platformers rather, and my favourite game is Banjo-Tooie.
And you're also very nervous.
Yeah, that's usually the case for me, so I'll probably, after this I probably will get a lot more confident, so don't you worry, I'm not too awkward all the time.
I feel like we got a real insight into the life of Michael, to be honest, from that biography.
We started to unravel the enigma that is Nofi.
The mystery slowly coming undone. I think by next week we might actually learn his star sign, his favourite food, his ASL, everything.
Oh, don't you worry, there's much more to come with me. It's not just a one day thing, it's a package deal.
You're not just a one-hit wonder.
The whole Nofi experience.
The whole Nofi experience, only on the Parablecast. Check it out, guys.
40 quid for entry.
I think that should be our advertising scheme. We can put posters everywhere, street walls, on video games, on websites, everything. The Parablecast, get your daily dose of Nofi here.
Tattoo it on someone, that might work.
You get one fact a week. But
that could be a new contest even, you have to try and figure out something off the enigma.
Yeah.
And it would help everybody at Parable, because I don't think we know that much either.
It's like Peter Molyneux's new game, where you tap at the cube. Once you open it, I'm inside, everything about me. The package deal.
Oh god.
Right, moving on.
Moving on from that very, very awkward reference. Last week we promised you something, and we promised you at the end of the last episode that we would tell you embarrassing stories as the introduction for this episode. Now, I'm going to be very, very blunt. I don't think I have any embarrassing stories related specifically to gaming because I'm an extremely boring individual. But Michael said for this call that he had an amazing story. It was amazing, like once in a lifetime, and neither of us have heard it. And we thought that it'd be quite amusing to see if Michael's story is really as good as he says it is. So yeah,
it won't
your
be,
embarrassing story. No, it won't.
Well, it's not so much embarrassing as it is really, really awkward, which is characteristic of me, as you may have already picked up.
Yeah, we have.
I think it was in 2009. I was playing. Yeah, don't laugh. Let me tell the story, man.
I love the date. Back in 2009.
Back in the day
Back
when
in
I was.
Nam.
No, it's when I was a young lad, of course. But yeah, I used to own the orange box on the Xbox 360 because I was horrible and I didn't think of it. I was a poor fellow, I didn't have a PC then. But yeah, I was playing with a few people that I regularly played with, and I was doing pretty well, playing a scout, and then out of nowhere, my wardrobe door sort of fell off and smashed my Xbox. And all I could hear over my mic was, "What's happened? What's happened? What's happened? What's going on?" I just kind of sat there and went, "My wardrobe door fell off and hit my Xbox, it's nothing, don't worry." Everyone's kind of screaming at me, just saying, "You should fix it! You should fix it!" I was like, "No, I want to play TF2. What are you doing?" And then my dad kind of walked into the room and said, "What the fuck was that?" Excuse my language. And then I kind of got a bit of a tongue lashing for kind of sitting there while this wardrobe door had fallen off and just hit my Xbox, which somehow hadn't broken.
So that was the story.
No offence,
That was
but
a
the highlight of that
fantastic story.
was quite possibly using the term tongue lashing. Just because it was an innuendo.
I was trying to think of a good term, but that was the only one that came to mind.
Anyway.
So the only thing that comes to
It's
mind when
probably
your
the
dad is
best
telling
thing.
you off is the term tongue lashing.
I don't know. It was either that or just like the telling off, and that sounded really kind of kiddie.
Well, that was an awful,
Yeah, what do you think
story.
is the consensus on that story? If we were to rate it out of 10. This
It
parable.
would be a parable new low.
Yeah.
What is our current lowest review? I think it's about 3, 4.
Yeah,
isn't
I
it?
think it's 4 are currently lowest review.
At least a 1.5. At most a 1.5.
I'd give him a 2 for the term tongue lashing.
That can be in the little positive comment.
Yeah. That's basically the only positive thing I have to say about that. That was neither embarrassing nor awkward.
Yeah, well, you'll come to find after a few weeks that I am absolutely terrible at telling stories.
It was awkward in itself, wasn't it? In the fact that it was a really awkward story. I think I'm going to have to pick up with my own ever so slightly awkward story that really isn't that awkward, but it's a fair degree better than No Fee's masterpiece. And it was... I just bought... I do all my gaming on the PC, and I just actually bought Catherine, the Weeboo game, on the Xbox 360.
Yeah, bye.
And so I thought, right, I'll go ahead and I'll have the whole experience in HD, and I had to do it back down in the living room because I didn't have a HDTV in my room at that point. So I was down there, nobody else was in the house at this point, or so I thought. And I was playing it, it was all going well, I was a fair way in, things had started to get a little spicy in the storyline. And then my sister appears. And that's fine, I thought that's okay, it's not my parents, it's my sister. And it was a slightly dodgy scene, but luckily it was fairly safe, and my sister soon disappeared. So I continued playing, and it progressed into a, sorry to be crude, but a blowjob scene. And at that point, my sister reappeared with my entire family behind her, who'd gone and rallied up to really jump on the moment. And so yeah, my entire family sat around and watched me playing this game as my character received a heavily, heavily implied blowjob.
So, would you say that you enjoyed it as much as your family?
Well, I was the only one tuning it out, so I can only imagine so.
Oh man. See,
it was so awkward that I didn't know what I could say to them, so I just pretended that I didn't notice them coming in. I just sat there, just desperately trying to not turn around and try to explain something.
See, really, I think you should have turned around and said, that was really good. What do you think about that scene? The cinematography was absolutely sublime.
The camera angles were wonderful.
You should have got your dad involved.
Oh, God. God, no.
Dad, press X to deep throat.
Oh, God. Oh, that's horrible.
Can we move on? Please, can we move on?
No, I think we should.
I'm really sorry,
because a bit more.
What should we discuss about it more?
I just think we should give...
Nothing, definitely nothing. I think we're going to talk about news, aren't we? Wasn't that the way this podcast works?
Yeah, the next section, we'll move on swiftly before Nofi tries to focus too much on virtual blowjobs and fathers. So we'll just go straight on. The next section of the Parable Cast is a kind of staple that we're going to do every week, where we're going to spend about 10 minutes talking about the main stories that have happened this week that have mattered to us personally. We're not going to go into like massive depth on every single story that's happened or everything of worth. We're just going to go into the ones that particularly interested us. So I'm going to start it off, and I'm going to go for one that's basically an update of something we talked about last week on the cast, which last week, if you watch the cast, you'll know that we spoke about Final Fantasy Versus 13 and the fact that it was rumoured to stop development and just basically been canned, nothing. We're never talking about it again, it's gone. But this week, I think it was quite a while ago actually, like 5 or 6 days ago, it was announced by Square that Versus 13 is in existence and it is still being developed, but they're not showing anything new of it yet. So like, there's no real update on the progress of it. It's just that it does exist, and I'd imagine a lot of PlayStation 3 fans will be very happy with that. So, what do you guys think of that?
Well,
sorry, go on though. If you go first.
I was going to say, I remember reading, wasn't it a tweet? I think it was a tweet where he kind of just said that...
Yeah, Yoichi Wada, who's the CEO of Squeenix.
Yeah, I remember he said something about the daily meetings, that some of the stuff that they've been showing off it would blow people away, and I'm just thinking to myself, you arsehole, please show something. Stop leaving us in the dark. That's a horrible, horrible thing to do.
It's something a lot of developers and publishers do, really. Like, our game's the best thing ever.
Yeah, but after someone's just said that it's cancelled, you want to reassure people. I mean, something as big as that, you want to reassure people. I mean, come on. It's a big, big thing.
It's a marketing scheme in itself, because, you know, obviously we've got the Half-Life 3 joke that's been circling around since fucking '02. And it's just, you know, anything related now to Half-Life, even before Half-Life 3, people are just going to buy because they're so hyped for Half-Life 3. It's almost become a staple as far as internet humour goes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, anything that's big in the media, like hearing that a game is like a really eagerly anticipated game is cancelled, then suddenly like, no, it's not cancelled. Everybody's suddenly hyped again. They're like, yes, it's not cancelled. Definitely buying, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, obviously this benefited them in some way because they haven't had any real announcements for their game in, what, years? Mm. The last new trailer was like a year and a half.
Yeah, around that time. I remember watching that, just thinking to myself, it looks like Kingdom Hearts. Yeah, I've never played a Kingdom Hearts game, and it just kind of... I don't know why I know how Kingdom Hearts plays when I've never even played a game.
But yeah, being fair, it did look really impressive. Have you seen it, Matt?
I haven't, actually. I've never been interested in Final Fantasy. We talked about this last week.
Yeah, that's fair enough, I guess. You're going to have to have a look into it, though, because it does look absolutely fucking amazing, to be very blunt.
Alright.
But,
it won't win me over.
Oh no, these Weibo games, got no interest. Not going to win me over, no.
That's it, I love Weibo games. I just hate Final Fantasy.
Too much angst.
Far too much angst.
We'll right Final Fantasy.
And just ludicrous clothing on all of them.
Oh yeah, and ludicrous hair.
And yeah, but I can deal with that. I'm used to that now. It's been hammered through my head enough times and through my eyes.
But yeah, like in kind of summary, you know, Final Fantasy Versus 13 still in development. Don't worry. Try not to wait yourself. It's all good.
Bit late for that.
I suppose I'll pick up there and move on and talk about the next bit of news.
Okay.
Which is I'll choose to mention about Ouya's the latest development with Ouya, which is that it's getting streaming via OnLive, which is something I haven't heard the word for about 2 years.
OnLive?
Yeah.
OnLive was big last year.
Well, fine, last year, whenever it was. But still, it's like there's so much hype for it and everything, and I can remember, because I had a friend we were having the age-long console versus PC argument.
Yeah.
And he was spent every day rubbing it in my face that that OnLive's going to revolutionise everything, and I wasted all my money on a gaming PC and so on and so forth. And then no.
I don't think OnLive was ever supposed to really revolutionise. I think the people that thought it was were kind of misinformed with the very nature of what OnLive was. Because it was supposed to be an alternative, really. Like we don't have good enough internet connections for it to be a staple yet.
No, yeah, exactly.
Plus there are problems with the actual online system as well, because I'm pretty sure that you can't stream anything in HD yet. It's all standard definition.
You've got an OnLive, haven't you, Nofi?
Yeah, I have the micro console and the controller because I got it free in an event.
Yeah, you got it free at Eurogamer.
Yeah, they gave out these little... Well, they were giving out micro consoles, but they ran out, so they just started giving out vouchers to buy one for £1. So I bought one. And, I mean, the only things I've ever bought on it are Human Revolution and Metro 2033, which were...
Fantastic game, Metro 2033.
Yeah, I haven't actually played it yet.
Neither have I.
It's one of my favourite games. It's essentially Stalker, but with a linear version of Stalker, and I always prefer linear games, to be honest.
Yeah, the problem with it though is that okay. Let me start that again. I played the Sonic 2 demo that was on OnLive, and the input lag was just absolutely dire. I could not stand it, and I don't think a shooter could translate into that very well, which is why I've avoided it.
So, obviously you've kind of spoken about it a bit there, but seeing as you've actually gotten OnLive, what do you think about the whole Ouya OnLive streaming thing? And
I think
OnLive in general, actually.
OnLive in general, I think it's a great thing that could go very far. I mean, cloud gaming is just... It's a brilliant idea. You've got streaming everywhere. Streaming's just something that's there now. I mean, you can stream videos, you can stream...
Yeah, but streaming's never as good as the actual thing.
That's true, but at the same time, you've got to think to yourself, if we can get internet connections fast enough, it's going to get to a point where we can just stream everything.
going to be a long time before we're able to get an internet.
Not necessarily. It depends what you mean by long time, because I think that OnLive is very viable in about 5 years' time.
Maybe in about 5 years' time, but the thing is, the base is there now. I mean, you've got... I don't know how to pronounce it, but you've got Gaikai, or whatever it is.
Oh, Gaiki, sorry.
Gaiki? Oh, that sounds like a really strange brand name that comes from Japan, but okay, I'll call it that. Gaiki. You got OnLive and Gaiki. I think... Didn't Sony acquire Gaiki?
I don't know, actually. I'm not entirely sure.
But yeah,
it doesn't matter.
But I mean, if console developers and stuff like that, I mean, the hardware developers, if they're getting into it, it means that it's going to be big at some point. Because they're not just going to buy them for no reason. There's no way that's going to happen, and just nothing's going to come from it.
Well, the console... No, you go, Matt.
Okay, sorry, I'm always overcutting you. I was just going to say that I think as internet connections get faster and better, obviously the games are going to be increasing at exactly the same velocity. And so, whereas in 5 years it might be able to run a game like Metro 2033 fine, it's not going to be able to run whatever the hell we're getting in 5 years.
Well, it will, really, because
if
it's only stream... Oh, sorry, you. Oh, I'm really overcutting everyone. I'll stop now.
Yeah, if you take into account countries like Sweden and that, they currently have the internet connections viable to run things at like 1080p perfectly fine. Like, it's just the fact that places like the UK especially, to a lesser extent places like the US, they don't have the same internet connections other places in the world have. And if they, like, it's them who need to the specific countries that need to upgrade, not like the overall infrastructure.
As far as I'm aware, Sweden has like a maximum of 100 megasecond, doesn't it?
More than that.
Are you sure?
Yeah. 100 gigabit a second, not 100 megabit.
Jesus.
So Sweden have very good internet connections. Like, I think they have among the best in the world.
Okay.
Sweden seems to have the best of everything. I don't like that. I wish we had some here.
It definitely is viable. Like, it's really good hardware and it's got really good infrastructure behind it. It's just overall, like, the overall infrastructure of other things in certain places isn't up to date to be able to handle the base infrastructure. I think in, like, not this gen upcoming, or maybe this gen upcoming, but the gen after, I think that we will see cloud gaming become not the staple, but a staple. To be honest.
I think it'll get better, but I don't think it'll ever... I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit not dreaming enough or looking further enough ahead, but I can never actually see it overtaking or being better than actually having it there. When you obviously you play games competitively, and it's always going to have that bit of lag, or that bit of button input lag, etc.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's ever... For people who like games, who really like games, I don't think it's ever going to overtake
I agree
a solid
with that.
console.
I agree with that completely.
That's fair enough. We'll see. Obviously, like, I have a, like, just as a kind of background piece, I work in this industry. I do computers, and like I did my qualifications in computer networking. So, like, technically, it's very, very possible that it can happen within the next 5 years.
Okay.
But yeah.
It'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it does happen. Because obviously, there's so many different things that could happen out of it.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we've kind of talked a bit about the kind of OnLive infrastructure itself, and the fact that Ouya is getting streaming via OnLive will obviously help increase it as a platform a hell of a lot. It'll give it a lot more support.
Just sorry, one more thing before we move on. I know we've been talking about Ouya for quite a while now, but how much is the OnLive, thing at the moment?
The micro console.
Yeah.
I don't know how much it is now, but I think from launch day in the UK it was about £70. I'm not entirely sure.
Something like that. I believe it was $100, so yeah, £70 sounds about right.
Okay then. It's quite a worthwhile addition to Ouya.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, with Ouya, I think the Ouya console is going to be bigger than the OnLive one, because the OnLive one, I think, is about double the size of an iPhone, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about that last week. It's like cube size, and I can't remember how big it was. The Rubik's Cube size, sorry.
Yeah, that was it.
That's what it is. Anyway, I think that's it for Ouya now, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, there was something else, wasn't there, about consoles? There was that leak of, what was it, Durango dev kit, wasn't there? The next Xbox, there was a dev kit leaked from...
The Xbox 720 images, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't read too much about that, but it's interesting that this stuff is leaking, though. Really, really interesting, because apparently it's not very console-like, and it's more like a PC infrastructure or something.
Are you talking about the dev kits where it's like a generic PC tower, and obviously the console, it'll be a kind of standard console inside it, and it was, I believe the image showed touchpads being used instead of controllers.
Well, that'd go in with the Windows 8 stuff, wouldn't it? Because Microsoft pretty much is just going for the whole interconnectivity between about 50 platforms or so.
Mm. It'll be interesting if that is legit, because obviously what you're talking about is the fact that the rumours may, like the images that were leaked, were they leaked a while ago or recently? Because I think they were leaked a while ago. Does anybody know?
I'm not sure, I didn't actually look into that much.
Yeah, no, I've got no idea at all.
Oh, fair enough. Well, there were images leaked which showed users playing with touchpads, like similar to like Android tabs, Windows phones, whatever. And like they were using those as an input method to play a console, like on a TV. But the console was like a very standard, like PC kind of generic thing, instead of like the, you know, like you get Xbox 360 or PS3 consoles that are like designed to look sleek and nothing but disc tray, etc.
Yeah.
Instead it was like a kind of PC thing, and it just housed all the specs and all that, and it was a very standard spec. Like that was kind of meant to be an image of the 720, but it was kind of, everybody thought it was fake, and now things are coming out to say that, you know, this might not be fake, this might be real.
Okay then. Like consoles have always, if you consider like at the start with the NES and the N64, you put in your game and it goes straight to the game.
Mm.
And then recently, you know, first of all we saw it with like the PlayStation 2 and that sort of thing. There's always been a bit of a GUI type thing going on before you actually get to your game. So the two seem to be sort of colliding together, and the consoles always seem to be getting more and more like a PC.
Yeah, consoles are becoming media outlets rather than gaming outlets now.
Yeah, much more eloquent way of putting it than me.
To be fair, I basically stole it from every Microsoft press release in the last 5 years.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I think it looks interesting, and obviously there's a lot of conflicting arguments onto whether that's the kind of way you want to see consoles go. Like a lot of people are saying, no, it shouldn't be a media outlet. It shouldn't be like a media hub. It should just be for games, because you're taking away things from the games that could be, like, you're taking time away for stuff that could be put into games. And
yeah, that argument's like, you know, obviously taking PC, which I think, I know I might spark a huge argument here, but I think we can agree that PC gaming is the most powerful.
Oh yeah, technically it's
kind of
powerful,
gaming.
yeah.
Yeah, and
Or...
no, you shut up.
To be fair, there's no argument against it, because consoles are always outdated software outdated hardware, within a year.
Yeah, but I really want to argue against you.
Go for it.
You can go for it, but I don't think there's any way you can without being wrong.
No, well, in terms of power, you're right, but in terms of software, there's no way I'm going to agree that PCs have it better. There's no way.
We're not talking about software availability, though. We're talking about the power of the system.
Oh, yeah,
it has the potential to house...
Okay, you'll agree with that then, okay.
Yeah, right. You know, it's got the potential to house any of the software, and obviously, from what this 720 sounds like, it doesn't sound like it's trying to sort of force media outlets at the cost of gaming. Mm. It seems to be, you know, they're giving the actual console more power and more specs, etc. And as a result, they can have this media stuff in as well, just because they can.
Yeah, I feel that the Xbox set, well, I suppose saying 720 isn't necessarily right, because the current development name for it is Durango, but
Durango.
Where did that even come from? That's just such a strange code name.
The name Durango. Do you want me to search the source for it?
Yeah, you could do.
Sounds like a fruit.
I thought it sounded like
tasty Xbox Durango. Well, I've just searched it now, and Durango is officially the free and sovereign state of Durango, which is actually a state in Mexico.
Well, wow, that's a really big acquisition from Microsoft right there.
The more you know, eh?
Yeah, something you can impress everybody with.
Confirmed, Microsoft's next console is, in fact, a country.
Well, 360 is big enough to be.
Yeah. I mean, this is just talking about how amazing the media outlet it has is, because, you know, it's big enough and it's, like, bold enough that they can compare it to a country. It's incredible.
These jokes are awful.
I know. but yeah, I don't think there's really Durango doesn't necessarily stem from anything. I don't think.
Codenames are usually really obscure, though. That's something I don't get. I mean, the GameCube in general.
Dolphin.
You think about it. Yeah, it doesn't look anything like a dolphin. Why would they call it the dolphin?
I think you're taking that a bit too literally there, mate.
Yeah, but where did that even...
Well, in fairness, GameCube does what it says on the tin, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's probably why they changed it from dolphin, to be completely frank.
I suppose in that way the Xbox is very frank as well, because it's a box with an X on it.
A very, very big box.
Yeah. In fact, does the 360 have an X on it? I don't think it does.
Not the new ones, anyway.
No, I'm looking at mine now. It's got Xbox written on the side, but
yeah,
X.
That's it as far as the X goes.
We really went off on a tangent here, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
What are we talking about?
I don't know. We were talking.
Should we just move on to topics?
We were talking about Durango being a media hub and the fact that the images of it being played on a tablet and like being in the house of a PC tower was like probably real.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I think we've kind of covered what we wanted to talk about with that, so I'm going to move on to the next thing that I have lined up that I wanted to talk about, which is something that makes me very personally very, very, very hype and happy. And if Gregor was here, he'd probably be screaming in a high-pitched voice, going, "Oh my fucking god, yes!" in a Scottish accent.
Because Greg's now Welsh.
I wish.
Why would you wish that?
Basically, Dragon's Dogma 2 details hint at a quest creation mode, which in itself, Dragon's Dogma 2 is announced, because I believe, Capcom announced that it was becoming a series because it sold really well, basically. And
that sounds really interesting.
What does? The fact that it's
a
series?
Yeah, the whole character creation, etc.
Oh, right.
Not character creation, quest creation.
I mean,
yeah.
The first game was absolutely amazing. In fact, I'd say it's probably... I'd say it's probably my favourite game this year so far.
Yeah.
And
it's not something I've ever actually played, to be honest.
A lot of people didn't. I don't know many people who have. But
okay, then.
It's sold very well. I believe it sold very well in Japan, particularly.
Oh yeah, it did really well in Japan.
If you don't know much about Dragon's Dogma, it's kind of a Japanese take on a Western RPG kind of thing, and it plays really well. You play as like a main character, and it's very action RPG. And no, I'm going on to somewhere. Like you play as a main character that isn't fully.
You play as a main character.
Like it's kind of just like the stereotypical like Western RPG character, and then you fully create your side character, and he's called a pawn or she's called a pawn, and like you completely create them from scratch. And then instead of like picking up new characters as you go through the game, your pawn goes into the database, and so does everybody else's who connects to the internet, and you make your party up from other people's created characters. And
that's quite the concept.
Yeah. So like you have a party of 4, and it's your main character that you've created, your main pawn, which you've created, and then 2 characters that you've taken from the database that other people created. And
so you can create a harem?
Yes.
Fantastic.
I'm pretty sure...
Off to buy the game now, we're back in Japan.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Dan did. I remember he told me about it when he was playing through it.
I played as like a female ranger build, and I had a little sister character, I had an older sister character. And
good lord.
I think that, I believe my little sister character had a twin, and they were twin mages, and it was amazing.
Oh dear, dear.
This game sounds glorious.
Dragon's Dogma was great because like it had an amazing atmosphere and an amazing combat system, and the game itself had some like real difficulty. It wasn't like scaled difficulty like you got in other titles. It was real difficulty, and it feels like the atmosphere was Skyrim done right. Like it was what Skyrim wanted to get and never did. Like the kind of atmosphere where you're exploring and you kind of go into a place and you think, shit, can I take this? You know, like you get really like worried when you enter a new location in the fears that you're going to get absolutely smashed.
Yeah.
And Skyrim didn't do that very well, but I feel Dragon's Dogma did that perfectly because you go somewhere you shouldn't and you will get smashed, and they won't tell you about it. They'll let you explore it. But it's a really fun game.
Sounds great. I might actually pick it up because of that.
I'd say it's definitely worth it. It's such a good game. So fun.
Yeah.
I can still remember leading up to the launch for it, I was saying that I get it, but then I just didn't. I mean, I've only recently, and this is a really, really guilty thing that I've done. I've only recently played Skyrim. I literally started it last month, and
bought it at launch, so basically, didn't you?
I bought it in the Boxing Day sales, I think, and I just left it there until last month. But I have a confession to make, and here it is. Skyrim is not an amazing game. It's just not. I don't care what anyone says. It really is not an amazing game. It's a good game, but it's not an amazing one. I do not.
I think a lot of people agree with that. I don't think.
Well, you'd be surprised.
Because I was going to say, that you guys are going to rip into me for this, because I actually really enjoyed Skyrim.
Oh no, I really enjoy Skyrim as well. I say that if anything, it receives both a lot of hate it doesn't deserve, and a lot of compliments it doesn't deserve.
Yeah, it was by no means great, but
it created an absolutely massive RPG sandbox, and it was probably the biggest RPG sandbox you'll see for the next 2 years or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the first time I went ahead and played the game, it just had a brilliant impression on me, because I didn't go along with the storyline for a fair while. And I just loved the atmosphere it managed to create. And I remember the first dragon I saw was just off in the distance, flying amongst the some mountaintops and things. I can just remember this brilliant, overwhelming feeling of contentness and happiness come over me.
I remember the first dragon that I faced. I literally just looked at it and thought to myself, yeah, this is going to be great, this is going to be awesome. This is going to be a moment to remember. And then, 30 seconds later, there it was, dead on the floor. I just thought to myself, what the hell was that? That was not a fight.
It was a very easy game, actually, wasn't
yeah.
it? I had to download mods halfway through the storyline to actually make it more difficult.
It depends what difficulty you played on, because obviously there was no real difficulty, but if you put it on the hardest difficulty, you would die in 2 shots, and the enemies had a lot of health, so obviously
that's the thing. I thought intense, whatever the highest one was, I didn't think that was enjoyable at all, whereas it was impossibly hard.
Oh, I played it on that the entire way through.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it took away so much from the game, because it made, I don't know, you're shooting guys in the face with 100 arrows before they fall.
Yeah, that was not something that appealed to me.
It made you take a focus on stealth attacks.
Oh yeah.
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 But the first character I played, I didn't play stealth, or I just went Conan mode.
See, that's one.
Actually, I downloaded a mod that makes you look more like Conan.
Oh my god.
It was great.
See, that's one thing I don't get about Skyrim. So many people do second playthroughs, and I just couldn't do that. Most people play it for 50 plus hours. I just dropped it at 40 because I got really bored.
They play.
I found the storyline was boring. I didn't like that.
You don't play it for the storyline. You play it for the exploration while playing as different characters.
Yeah.
Because the character customization is so open-ended that you can never do everything. So it's kind of you'll make multiple characters, so you can play in completely different styles and do different things.
Yeah, I always go sort of ahead and make character traits and things for my character that I sort of implement myself.
Yeah.
And I always think that adds quite a bit to it. Makes me enjoy it a lot more than I would if I just sort of did what was always best in that situation.
The Elder Scrolls series are very much like that, though. There's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of the way they expect you to play it. It's not the kind of thing where you just go in there and go, just play it as it tells you to, because that is boring. Yeah. It's kind of like you're ruining the experience for yourself by not adding things to it, because the game is so open-ended that you can add those things. So why not?
I feel that if you're going to LARP in a game, it's just weird. It's a game. It's not a live-action roleplay.
It's not laughing.
Nofi giving the lowdown on being cool.
Challenges to yourself, Nofi.
I just didn't get into it as much as everyone else did. I don't know why.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, I think we've talked about the weekly news, so I think we can move on to the major topics we wanted to talk about this week. We've got a few topics lined up, and if we don't get through all of them, that's a shame. We don't really care. The first thing I specifically thought would be definitely worth talking about is the fact that Sleeping Dogs is coming out on the 17th of August. It's coming out quite soon. It's been announced for quite a while, but we finally received some form of substantial gameplay trailers for it. We've received a big entire mission for it, which I'm going to post up here, and that'll be found in the description if you want to look at it, the description of the podcast. And just today, I believe, there was a trailer showing, it was kind of a descriptive trailer showing the combat of the game. And obviously we've had a few older trailers which have showed a bit more about the game, and a lot of stuff is finally coming out. I think it looks really interesting. In fact, it's the only game in August I'm particularly excited for, like the only retail game. And I was wondering if anybody else was interested, really.
Seems interesting enough, but to me it doesn't. It doesn't seem like anything that doesn't seem like it's anything great. But it's a title. It's the type of thing I'd buy if I saw it on sale. But I can't imagine I'm going to buy it on launch.
It looked well. Obviously, it was originally True Crime. It was a spiritual successor to the True Crime Streets of LA title.
Yeah.
So it's very, very similar to that, but obviously set in Hong Kong, I believe. It might be set in a different Chinese major city or something, but I think it's Hong Kong, maybe. Not entirely sure.
Wasn't it True Crime Hong Kong at one point?
Yeah, that's what we just literally said.
Sorry, I zoned out for a bit there.
We just literally said it used to be True Crime Hong Kong, so obviously like it's set in one of the major cities in China, and a lot of gameplay for it's come out, and I think it really builds on it. Like if you watch like the gameplay trailers, it's got a lot of things that people would say is rather average, but like they kind of add to it in my opinion. Things like the realistic GPS system and the very, very well developed close combat system. Like it's probably the best developed I've ever seen.
I'm watching a bit of the close combat now. It's gruesome, isn't it? It's bloody gruesome.
Exactly. Like the combat is really incredibly realistically done, I'd say. Like they got I've completely forgotten his name, like John St. Pierre or something? George St. Pierre? One of the other. And he's the world champion in MMA. And they got him to do all the like animations for all the fighting.
Oh, okay, that's very good.
And like they kind of like got him in and said, this is our fighting system. What can we do to make this look more realistic? And like he kind of went through every motion and all that to make it look as real as possible.
Yeah.
And obviously we've got the Max Payne style slow-mo and a very fluid, dynamic like weapon covering system and all that. So like rather than just sitting in cover Gears of War style, you'll just be like jumping over cover and all that.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It seems very like always on the go type of thing, very active as a game.
It doesn't look like anything original as such, but I think it's kind of...
It's 4 to 5 was already been made, but into a very good game. It's taken, by the looks of it, it's taken quite a lot of aspects from things like GTA.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously there's a karma system in place. Like, it was one of... True Crime Streets of LA was one of the first games to implement a karma system.
Yeah.
So I believe it builds off of that. What do you think of it, Michael?
Honestly, from looking at the gameplay, I'm a little bit put off. I mean, I was interested before, but I was a little bit put off when I saw the gameplay footage because it just... I mean, when it comes to shooters, fluid things put me off slightly. I don't know why, but they do. I like a bit of clunk when I'm shooting people.
Fair. I don't know what to say to that, really. I really disagree with that. I feel that fluidity in shooters is one of the most important aspects. Like,
I think for a game like this that looks fun, I think the fluidness works quite well.
Yeah.
But at the same time, obviously Gears of War is a very clunky shooter game.
That's two.
And I thought that I actually really enjoyed Gears.
I really enjoyed Gears of War.
And I thought that worked really well for the game, so I've got no preference for either one. I think certain games lend themselves differently to...
Yeah.
So, I like this actually. A guy just used an Uzi and flipped over a car by shooting it in the side. So some aspects of it aren't quite realistic, but...
Oh yeah, very many
aspects
that
miles
aren't realistic.
into the air.
I'd say the only thing that was realistically done were the animations for the CQC, but obviously it just looks like a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, that is what the vibe I'm getting from it. It's not trying to be anything that isn't just fun. Actually, this looks great. Actually, looking at it now, I'm really quite getting into it.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the trailer right this minute, and it looks fantastic.
I'll tell you what it reminds me of, because I'm just watching the gameplay again here. It reminds me a hell of a lot of a more GTA'd up Just Cause 2.
Oh, yeah, that's a great comparison, actually.
And I can't see anything that would make me dislike it if it is a more GTA'd up Just Cause 2.
Just Cause 2 is fantastic.
Yeah.
Just to diverge right onto that, great game.
Never actually played the full game.
I've never owned it, I've played it.
It's got the whole jumping from car to car thing.
which is
That's
present in this.
fantastic. Yeah.
I take it you've just seen it then.
Yeah, I'm just at that point now.
It looks so fun!
But to diverge again onto something impossibly different that everyone's going to shout at me for, have you guys seen that there's like a Just Cause 2 multiplayer mod that people are working on?
Oh, yes.
I've seen you tell me about it.
You've seen me tell me. Yeah, it's great. Anyway, it looks fantastic.
I remember that was one of the reasons that I kind of got interested in Just Cause 2. Not, the mod, but the prospect of multiplayer actually making it in. And then it didn't, and I got really depressed. And I kind of just, didn't pay attention to the game after that.
Yeah, it is screaming for a multiplayer mode. It's so perfect, and it just lends itself so well to talking about with your friends.
I mean, that's open world, really. Just, if you've got multiplayer, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
Didn't you say that there was a playtest session for the actual beta map?
Yeah, it was probably about a month ago now it came out, I think.
Did you play it?
Oh no, it was just a video, sorry.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So I'd be really interested to see how it actually works in motion, how it actually plays.
Well, in the video, I'm not sure if it would have, people have to stay within this far from each other, etc. But in the video, everything I saw was very smooth and it worked very well. Yeah, I had them sort of grappling about, parachuting about, whatnot.
It does look great, though. But yeah, Sleeping Dogs, in my opinion, that's the retail title to look out for before the major gaming season hits in September.
Well, I have to object to that slightly.
What?
Darksiders 2 looks very, very, very good.
Darksiders 2 is out in September, though, isn't it?
No, it's in... Well, it might be over in the UK, but I'm not too sure. I mean, I know that it's before the major gaming season starts, but at the same time, it's cited as a summer release, so I'm still very excited for it.
No, you are right. August 14th and August 21st a year.
Oh god, that's pretty close.
Get the wallet ready. Sell those organs.
I don't know. I'd agree that Darksiders 2 looks really interesting. I kind of... When I saw the announcement trailer, I was like, this is good. This is very good. Very high. And I was really interested in it, but I've just kind of gone off it, I guess.
No, yeah, this title now, actually, literally having just watched the trailer now, it looks fantastic. It's something I'm probably definitely going to buy. I'll definitely buy it at some point. I'll probably buy it at launch.
Yeah, I'm probably going to buy Sleeping Dogs at launch. Being honest. So, yeah, from each of us there, I guess we've got conflicting opinions. I guess me and Matt are saying, if you pick up one game before the big gaming season hits, pick up Sleeping Dogs. And Michael's saying, no, Darksiders 2.
Definitely.
So, okay, fair enough. Leading on from that, actually, it's a very good segue. Summer of Arcade on Xbox Live is currently coming out. I believe we're basically at the exact middle point.
Pretty much.
There are if you don't know what Summer of Arcade is, I'd imagine most of you do. I believe it's 5 weeks every year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's 5 weeks every year.
Yeah, 5 weeks every year through July and August. They release a new major arcade title on Xbox Live every week, and it's kind of meant to be a showcase of what the arcade has to offer, I guess. 5 titles this year were Tony Hawk's Pro Skater HD, Racketeer, Deadlight, Hybrid, and Dust. And I believe Deadlight just came out, or Deadlight comes out in a few days. And then obviously we've got Hybrid and Dust yet to come out. So we've got 3 of the games, about 3 of the games out. And I was wondering if, well, obviously I know that Michael will have looked into them. I don't think Matt will have very much.
No, I'm not.
Typical PC gamer.
But yeah, Michael, what do you think of the Summer of Arcade so far? Is it a good Summer of Arcade? What's the game to look out for? Favorite game, etc.
I think it's terrible, honestly.
Really?
I'll be really blunt. You've got a Connect title. You've got a shooter that just kind of reeks of kind of strange influences that I can't really pinpoint.
I think Hybrid looks really interesting.
Oh, I don't think it looks that interesting. It just kind of, it just looks like a strange shooter to me. I mean, there's nothing more to it when I look at it. Right. Deadlight, I was slightly optimistic for, but then I saw some gameplay and I kind of got put off.
I feel that Deadlight is quite a good title, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of people have really enjoyed Deadlight.
Obviously, shameless plug incoming. Parable actually reviewed Deadlight today. The review went live, so if you want to check that out or any reviews for previous or upcoming titles, we'll have them before launch. So yeah, go check that out. But yeah, we reviewed it 7.5, and Greg said it was a really promising game that obviously let itself down in a few aspects, but it was a really promising promising title.
It sorry, just I might make a fool of myself here. Deadlight's the platforming one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Side scrolling.
The horror post-apocalyptic zombie survival platforming MLG legit game.
I really like that style of platforming. It was in Trine as well.
Yeah.
Trine 1 and 2.
Oh god, Trine's something I've been meaning to buy Trine for such a long time.
Fantastic game, buy it. It was in... Oh yeah, you don't do PC gaming, do you?
I do PC gaming, I'm just, like, really...
Oh, okay. It was in the Steam sale for like £1 last week, or however long ago it was.
Oh, crap.
But anyway, no, it's, I think it adds a lot to platforming games, because ever since, like, Donkey Kong Country, like the very first one on the SNES, I think, you know, the visuals on the background or something have always been something that adds a lot to the game.
Yeah, definitely.
And I just think Trine takes a hold of that, and as does Deadlight, and it's something that's really nice to see, and it adds a little bit extra to the gaming experience rather than just the actual gameplay itself.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to completely disagree with Michael. He says the Summer of Arcade looks shit. I'd have to say, in fact, I think we're going to have, or have had, a really good Summer of Arcade, because, I mean, we've got a real variety of titles, and you can't really blame them for including Connect, considering how much they're trying to push Connect. I mean, obviously, it was kind of very expected that we get a Connect title come up. To be fair, the Connect title was a bit bad, but to be fair,
4.5 bad.
Yeah, we haven't had any real good Connect titles, so we can't really expect much. But I mean, we've got a Tony Hawk title. Obviously, Tony Hawk is something that hasn't had the kind of classic HD remix ever, and a lot of people have been wanting it. So like they've kind of appealed to the fans and given you like the sports game there. You've got the shooter in hybrid, you've got the platformer, and then you've got the RPG. It's like they've got a real good variety of genres, and
it's definitely a good mix.
Yeah, and I'd say that at least 3 of the games are higher than average, I reckon.
Yeah, it started off a bit weak though.
Yeah.
That's my only thought there. I think Tony Hawk's was okay from what I've heard. I didn't actually play it, but it was decent. And then Racketeer was what you'd expect.
and then, yeah, to be fair, obviously the first 2 games are quite bad, but I feel the last 3 are like 3 interesting concepts for games, 3 varied games, and 3 games that I hope will be good. And
yeah,
to be fair, like obviously they're arcade games, they're not full titles, so it's like having a good variety of good standard games is absolutely fine for a Summer of Arcade, in my opinion.
I think they all appeal to different audiences with, you know, because whereas we particularly didn't enjoy Racketeer, I'm sure that's just because, you know, it wasn't really aimed at us sort of thing. It's more of a living room game, and I'm sure a lot of people will enjoy that. And I'm sure a lot of people enjoy Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
I enjoyed it to an extent.
Yeah, but I just think a lot of the games appeal to different people. I'm sure they're all great games in their own right for the right audience of people.
There's Matt just satiating everyone. So, Michael, best game of Summer of Arcade, what one do you think it's going to be?
Dust, easily.
Matt?
I don't really know. I haven't paid all that much attention to it, to be honest.
From what you know.
I would go with Deadlight. Definitely seems the most interesting to me, but I do particularly like side-scrolling platformers.
I'm going to go with Dust as well. Dust's actually the last game of the Summer of Arcade. Isn't it a side-scrolling like RPG style thing with very, very beautiful visuals?
Yeah, it's all colourful and lovely, and it's got RPG stuff in it.
Okay, can I change my opinion?
Yeah.
It sounds a bit better.
So you go from a dark game that's pretty much all like dark, black, white.
I'm very influential, or easily influenced more so.
So as soon as colour comes into play, you're just like, oh yeah, go for that, I love that, it's great.
As long as it looks pretty, that's happy, okay?
As long as it's like me in that respect, yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I definitely do think, well, obviously this is an opinionated thing, but I think the Summer of Arcade looks really good, like this year. I don't feel like if you were to compare it this year to other years, I don't think you'd be particularly disappointed.
I think Summer of Arcade has kind of been dumbed down, sort of. I mean, now they've oh yeah, I'll elaborate now. They introduced the whole spring break thing, didn't they, where they do it in spring as well. I think that's taken some of the good titles that would have been in the Summer of Arcade and kind of made it so that it's a bit less full of good titles, as it were.
The titles seem to be fair, they're good titles, but considering they're making an event of, the whole thing, and they're trying to build hype for the titles, I don't think they're actually delivering great titles. They might be alright on their own, but to include them in, part of a thing.
A thing.
A thing. It's, it just seems a bit, I don't know.
A bit off you.
Yeah, they should have saved up some better titles to really advertise the Summer Arcade and future ones.
Oh yeah. I actually can't remember that well what was in the Summer of Arcade last year.
No, neither can I.
I remember Fruit Ninja was there, but that's about it. I only remember that because it's a Connect title, so that's a great memory.
Sounds like a great game as well.
Oh yeah. As Michael remembering the good ones, eh?
I don't even have a Connect, so I wouldn't know.
Okay, I think we should move on from the Summer of Arcade unless anybody else wants to talk about a specific game in the summer, because we've kind of talked about a bit about each of them. Does anybody want to talk about one in particular?
No.
There doesn't seem to be anything else really worth mentioning on that.
Okay, now we're going to move on to the next major topic, which is Let Michael Monologue topic. We're going to talk about newer Mario titles.
Oh,
so
God.
I'll let you talk a bit more about it, Mike.
Oh, you're going to stop me off now. But yeah, basically, I think it was 2 days ago or 1 day ago, New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS came out in Japan, and reviews have been coming out everywhere, even US ones, European ones, and all that sort of stuff. But the consensus seems to be that the formula is getting old, but they're still good games.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of weird though, because it's just come out with this. No one has ever said it before in a review, and now everyone's saying it. Because I haven't read a review for a New Super Mario Bros. Game before that has said this, and I'm kind of surprised that it's taken them 3 games to actually do it.
I don't know.
When was the first Super Mario Bros. Game out?
2006, I think?
No, the first Super Mario Bros.
Yeah, not 2006.
I think it's 1986. I'm not entirely sure. I think there was actually an article out that was kind of geared towards finding out when it was.
The gaming press industry is very reactionary. Like, it's kind of like as soon as one person says it, they all say it, and that's kind of like a standard for a lot of things in the press. So
yeah, we know that way too well. We actually use those sort of tactics all the time. Don't tell anyone. This is just for you listeners. Don't tell our secret to anyone.
I don't know. When they try to do this weird 3D thing with the side-scrolling things, obviously the new Super Mario Bros. Is sort of trying to appeal to people who enjoyed the old Super Mario Bros. But I don't know, they lost it. I bought the first one on DS, launch title. I was really excited for it, and it was shit. It was absolutely shit. It was easy as piss. And the only hard parts weren't so much as challenging, but just annoying, like that last castle with all the rotary bollocks.
Oh, I'll agree with that. I did not like the last castle in the DS one at all.
I couldn't stand the game itself. I went through it and I got 3 coins in like every level. I think it was coins you were collecting, wasn't it? And I just didn't find it hard.
The Wii one was...
And then any part you did find hard, they just carried you through it by giving you fucking whatever the piss they gave you.
Okay, calm down. Don't.
I don't actually have much to say about Mario games because I haven't played any recent Mario games. I've not been interested with them at all, like in the last at least 5 years.
Well, Dan, I'm sorry, but you're an awful person. It just ends at that. I'm sorry, but there's no way you can not like Mario. It's genuine fun.
See, I was raised as a through and through Nintendo fanboy.
Good lad.
And I lost my fanboyism with the Wii and with the
exactly,
and with the DS. But I loved the DS at first, but the later titles just seemed to lose it with me. And I don't think the Wii delivered a good Mario title. I don't think Mario Galaxy was good on any real level.
I want to bitch at you so much, but I'm not going to.
It was. I can't.
I absolutely adored both Mario Galaxy games. I think they're amazing, I think.
But when you compare them to what we're used to, Super Mario 64...
No, even then, they're still great in their own right. I don't care.
But Super Mario 64 is hard. A game isn't enjoyable if you walk through it in 8 hours and...
Have you played the second Mario Galaxy?
No, I haven't.
Well, let me just tell you this. There are at least 120 stars that you won't get without difficulty. When I say that...
Well, I can't really say anything in that.
Yeah,
if I haven't played
exactly.
it, but...
Yeah, I'm just...
It's not really sparking some, deep and,
No, I just
debate.
need to have some sort of, shout at him because he's wrong and I hate him and all that sort of stuff.
To be fair, in the same way, I wouldn't say anyone is necessarily wrong by saying they don't enjoy Mario titles anymore.
Yeah, but it's just...
Nintendo seems to have this thing nowadays that if you can't do it on your first try, you should give them a huge advantage in some sort of mega mushroom at the start of the stage. And if you can't do it then I don't know, I assume they remove it from the game entirely, because I haven't been challenged by a Nintendo game in a long time.
Oh, God. I'm actually trying to think of a good Nintendo game that's actually challenging now. You've actually got me stumped. I mean, Mario Galaxy 2 had some hard stars after the main game, but apart from that, there's not really much.
Obviously, though, we can easily understand the reason behind that. That's obviously because of the fact that Nintendo's core audience has shifted. They like to say that they haven't shifted in their core audience, but they obviously have. And I think that anybody that tries to argue otherwise is wrong.
I'd agree with that.
And I think that nowadays that they don't have the same goals that a lot of the older Nintendo fans want to see from them.
No, definitely not. You can speak to people fans of the original Super Mario Bros. And most of them wouldn't have managed to finish all 16 worlds. Just because they were so difficult. They were impossibly difficult, and a lot of people didn't quite manage to get 120 stars in Super Mario 64, because number one, they were hard to find the stages, in a lot of cases, and then when you did, it was often difficult to actually find the stars themselves.
That's actually one thing I really miss from older games. Just the aspect of not knowing. I mean, Galaxy games, it's just go from here to here. That's cool. You've got a star. Well done. Yeah. With 64, it was a case of finding the worlds, going into the worlds, then finding out where the hell you're supposed to go.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether it might have been because I was younger, but I always thought games had a bit more of a mystery to them and a bit more depth to them than what they do now.
I'd say that was due to the evolution of, well, not the evolution, ease of access of the internet more than anything.
I suppose that is something to take into account.
I don't think I've looked at an FAQ ever.
Yeah, no, but you have to think about it in a different way. We're not just talking about FAQs, we're talking about the fact that before games came out, when you're a child, you didn't go on an internet forum and talk about them beforehand. You didn't get news from them every week before they came out. You didn't watch trailers, you didn't see anything.
Ocarina of Time is a title I'll bring up here. A lot of controversiality in the fans of it, but it had so much depth to it. There were so many little side stories, when you were a kid, something most people don't know, so might make a good story. When you're a kid and you go to the whatever the fuck it's called, the castle town, before you go into the Temple of Time, there's a dying guard in one of the back alleys.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, and it's little things like that there. And the guy that gets turned into a skull kid in the forest when you're doing the big Goron sword quest and all that. And you just don't get those little extra details and those little side stories anymore.
I think there are some games that do it, but they've kind of... I mean...
Yeah, do.
You're a child. But yeah, there are some games that still do that, but they're so rare now.
Yeah.
It's a shame. I'll agree with that. It's definitely a shame, but at the same time, it's got people to focus more on kind of gearing their experiences towards certain goals. I mean, Ocarina of Time was basically just here you go, here's a world, explore it, do whatever you want. I mean, it may have had a main story, but you could still do whatever you want. Nowadays, people just kind of go for the whole, go from point A to point B. Yeah.
I think we've about exhausted that one, because we could go on forever arguing about that.
I think we basically talked about that, and obviously we've been going off on a fair few tangents. But I think I should bring this to a close here, and we should kind of do a summary. Basically, today we've talked about the week's news, and we talked about Sleeping Dogs, the Xbox Live Summer of Arcade, and what we think about the newer Mario titles in light of the new Mario game being released. I don't really have much else to say other than, obviously, we'll see you next week, and we'll talk to you in depth about a range of other topics and talk to you about the latest news. Does anybody else have anything to say?
Do we have anything quirky, like embarrassing video game stories that we can say again, or?
I don't think we do.
If you want me to go through one of my horrible...
No, we don't. We don't.
Okay,
We don't. No.
No. In fact...
Right, I think that's it. I think we should end up now.
Okay, yeah, so, Michael, outro.
Hello, everyone. This has been a lovely event. I hope that you didn't think I was too awkward.
Shall I just drop the call now?
Okay, Matt, outro.
No, right. Make sure you come back next week, and we'll have great fun again, as always. Find us on all of our different outlets, wherever you find us. Download us, listen to us in the car, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, I'm just going to do my very basic outro as well.
Okay, fine.
The main outlet for this video will be on YouTube, and we'll have some background over it. But if you want to download it, we'll have download links in the description. So if you're interested, just check us out on YouTube, subscribe to us, follow us on Twitter, and you'll hear about it when it comes out in any future episodes. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed. I've been Dan, and I've been with Matt and Michael, and we hope you enjoyed.